Hi everybody, welcome to Art Days. This is the second week and we're going to get started today on a really exciting process. It's called Repousee. Repousee is a technique that's used to make designs in metal. This is an ancient art that dates way back into the centuries, where artists and craftsmen would make intricate, beautiful designs into metal bowls or cups or metal objects to decorate them and make them really beautiful. So I'm going to show you a simple way to do it. We're going to be using copper today, and this is real metal, real copper that's been cut to fit a piece of paper, and I'm going to show you how to do your own Repousee design on a piece of copper. Okay, so what we have here is a piece of 5" by 5" square copper. This is the real thing, copper metal. Around the edge, I have put some tape. This tape is to just protect the ends of your fingers to make sure that you don't get a scratch or a little cut from the copper, because it can cut you if you're not careful with it, but you're going to be very careful with it and not get cut. So, and underneath here I have a couple of the Suffolk newspapers that I've folded in half. This is going to be a little bit of padding to put underneath your work. So you'll be working on top of this newspaper with your copper piece here. But first, what I want to show you is you need to come up with a design. And in your kit, you're going to have your 5" 5 by 5 piece of copper. You're going to have a couple of sheets of paper to sketch your design, but you're also going to have a practice piece. This is a practice piece of copper that's been cut so that you can get a feel for how to do this. You don't want to start off on your big piece of copper and then make a mistake and get upset. So I'm going to give you a piece of scrap copper and a little piece of scrap sketch paper to come up with a design. So the first thing you do before you do anything to your copper is you draw a design. So on this particular piece, I drew a bird design that I taped it on top of my piece of copper. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this again. So I'm going to take I'm going to do my practice piece first because I don't want to use my good paper yet. And I'm going to do a design to practice. The tools that we use are very simple. We're going to be using a pencil that has a very, very dull point. You don't want a sharp pencil. If you have a sharp pencil, you might cut through the paper. The pressure of your hand may cut through the paper, and it may even cut through the copper. So we want a nice pencil with a dull point. And if you have a pencil that's too sharp, just get a piece of scrap paper and color on it like this until you get that pencil point to be dull. So to practice, I want to just show you on my little sheet of paper how to do some of the basic lines. This is where you really get to see texture. You get to draw texture, but you also really get to feel it and see it in your work. That's why I love this so much, is because you can do so many different types of lines, so many neat textures, and then when you go to finish your piece, there's lots of nice ways that you can finish it to really make it pop. But first you need an idea for a design. So I'm going to start off with just a circle and a sun. I'll make a zigzag line. This is just something easy that anybody can draw. But at the same time, I'm showing you how to make different types of lines and textures. Now these will be, the rays of the sun will be a zigzag line, so you'll be able to see a raised up line there. The circle for the sun will also produce a shape that is raised up, and I'll show you how to make that stand up. And then the eyes will be like a dot type texture. So I'm going to show you how to put this on now. Here is the sample piece of copper. You're going to need a little piece of tape. This little piece, this drawing is going to go on the top like this. Just place it on top of your copper. And then you're going to need a little piece of tape just to hold it down. Just to hold it down, okay? And then I'm going to move this one out of the way for a minute. I'll place it on top of my padding. And what you want to do, you want to make sure that this paper doesn't slide around. You want to keep it still. So if you need another piece of tape on the sides, you can do that. And you take your pencil, and the first thing I'm going to do is you're going to press. And you're going to put a lot of pressure on this. Press hard and go over your line with your pencil. You're going to be bearing down pretty hard. And you're going to go over your pencil lines. When you have the eyes, you're going to be doing a circular motion like this, so you want to really press that design into the copper. And then go to your rays of sun. And you can tell by how dark this pencil line is how hard I'm pressing down. And the padding of the newspaper is what helps the pressure of this pencil to sink down into the copper. If I didn't have this pad underneath and I was just trying to draw it on a hard tabletop, it would be very difficult. You need a little cushion in there to help these hard lines sink in. Okay, so now I've gotten this really cool design that I've transferred from my paper to my scrap piece of copper. And when I look at this, this is from this direction. That's the same image, but when I flip it over, you'll see this in the opposite image. So this is just something to think about when you do this. And I'll cover this again too in just a few minutes. But I also wanted to show you how you can add a little bit of background. Even though this is just a little scrap piece of copper, it's still copper, and it's still a beautiful little design that you could use for something. So what I like to do is fill in with a variety of lines and textures. I love to do wavy lines in this copper. It's just so much fun. So I'm going to put some, like when you're looking at something that's hot, it looks like it's wavy lines coming from it. So this is going to be a hot copper sun. And if that tape gets in your way, just you can pick it and then go under it. And also, after we remove the tape, you can also add more designs to your piece if you're missing something. So I'm going to add a little bit more to this because even though it's just a practice piece of copper, it's still a good piece of real copper. All right. So when you fill in a design, it makes it look more complete, and then you can really see all of the different reflections from the light of the lines. That gives you a neat way of seeing this. You have added dimension to it, and you have some really cool textured lines in your design. Okay. All right, so now I'm ready to use my bigger sheet of copper. This is going to be for my final project. So I have my newspaper ready. I have my nice dull pencil ready. The tape is already on. And if you look at this particular sheet of copper, this is really beautiful. It's shiny, it's coppery. On the other side, it's a silvery color. So you get really two special designs with this particular project. You get two different looks. So I'm excited to be using this particular type of material. I think you're going to love it. So, but first I need a design. So in your kit, you're going to have a couple of sheets of sketch paper so that you can make a design. And you can use both sides of this. If you draw a design here, you don't like it, turn it over, draw it here, and just continue until you get a good design that you like. It's really important because once you start carving into this copper, you can't erase. You can't erase these carved lines once you start carving in there. So you want to get it right. I'm going to do a little bird design. So I'm going to sketch this out. And I'm also going to do some swirly lines just because I really enjoy the way it looks when it's carved in. It reminds me of some of the beautiful things, of beautiful carved metal things that I've seen in museums and in stores and stuff like that. So I wanted to sort of repeat some of the things that I've learned in art about lines and shapes and textures and designs. All of these things come into play when you go to make a work of art. So this is just a quick little bird. So what I'm going to do next is lay my pencil down for a minute. I'm going to take a little tiny piece of tape. Maybe for this bigger piece I might just do a few pieces. I'm going to lay this on top and just anchor it down with a little piece of tape, maybe top and bottom, just to keep it still while I'm working. Okay, and that's all you have to do. This I might save for another piece of copper. I've got my pad of paper ready, got my dull pencil. So here I go. I'm going to hold this still. Even though there's tape on it, you still want to hold it. Don't let it get away from you. And with a firm hand and even pressure, go slow and trace on top of your design. And what you're doing is you are carving your sketch into this piece of beautiful copper. Be sure to include things in your design that you can make your textures and your lines really dynamic. Make sure they really stand out. It wouldn't hurt to go over your lines more than one time, which is what I'm doing. But you can also, if you check your design from the back and you see that it didn't come through very good, maybe you didn't press down hard enough, you can always just, as long as you don't take it off of the, take tape off and take it off of the copper, you should be able to just keep going over it. But once you take it off of the copper, it's going to be hard to line it back up. Just remember to keep that pressure. And if you think of something that you want to add, even though you didn't add it to your sketch, you could do it now. But I would be careful about that. Try to get your sketch ready before you start embossing into your copper. Embossing is another word for making designs into metal or paper as well. And there's little machines and little tools that you can get at art supply stores that make really, really cool marks into paper and metal. Maybe we'll get a chance to do that sometime. Okay, I'm almost done. I love swirly lines, especially these curly ones. Make sure you keep your design on the flat part of the paper, of your paper pad. So I've been over this a couple of times, so I want to take a look. I'm going to turn it over and see. Oh, look at there. Isn't that pretty? Now remember, this is a reverse image from this, but it's also, you get two sides. You get a beautiful silver side, and let's take a look at our copper side. So you just remove the tape, because when I look back here, I can see that I made my lines deep enough and strong enough that they transferred to the copper very well. So I really don't have to worry about removing my sketch now. So I can go ahead and just do that. And look at this. This is beautiful material. I love this type of copper, and I really love it with the silver on the back. It gives you a lot of options. So at this time, you could, if you wanted to add some little fine details to your design, this is where you would do it. Now, you could do this ahead of time with your sketch, or if you think of something afterwards, like if you wanted to fill in with some dots, which is what I love to do. It's easy enough to fill in a whole area just adding these dots. See how cool that looks? Let's see what it looks like on the other side. Oh, I love it. So dots are one of my favorite things to do in this, and it's simple and easy. You don't have to have any fancy tools to do it, but you want to do it in more than one place. So if I put dots here, I need to, just to be a good designer, I definitely want to add dots somewhere else in this design. So I think I'll probably add them back here. And I kind of like odd numbers, so I think I'll put some dots down here. I'll do like 3 sets of dots. This is just the beginning of many, many ways that you can add detail and interest to your design. And there's also some other techniques I would like to tell you about. Okay, so I've got this design all carved in. And when you get your kit, you may get a sheet of copper that's copper on one side and silver on the other, or it may be like this, copper on both sides. Either way, you're going to love this. This is a fun thing to do. And I want to show you how you, if you wanted to, I mean, it's beautiful as it is. I love it just plain. But you can also add some color to this. If you have some Sharpie markers at home, it's really fun to add some colors to your design. So let me show you how to do it. You can, if you want to fill in, fill in a line, or if you want to color a surface, just color the whole thing, or just color part of it, because the copper itself is so pretty, and this purple is just awesome on it. I would like to leave some of the copper shiny and add just a little bit of color purple in between. That way you don't lose the beautiful glow of this copper. So this is just a suggestion of a way to enhance what you have done. Certainly not required, and we're not going to be sending markers in your kit. So if you have them at home, you may want to give them a try. I just wanted to show you this as an option to really make your work sparkle. Okay, I'm ready now to finish my beautiful copper Repousee project, and I wanted to show you a little bit about how to display these items, because what you have when you're finished is just a sheet of copper, but then you want to put it on display somehow so that you can either hang it on the wall or frame it, or just simply take the tape off and make it look really presentable and beautiful. So I've added some color to it, and I've found a nice piece of black mat board. And what I wanted to show you is when we go to mount something on a piece of mat board, I will center it a little bit to the top and leave a little bit of extra space at the bottom, but I want both of my sides and my top to be the same and a little bit larger at the bottom. That gives it a nice look and feel and a great display. I've already put some tape on the back, so I'm just going to press it down gently now. You don't want to upset any of your beautiful incised lines. And now this is ready to be put on an easel for display.